Hey, it's been a while, right? I am actually not feeling 100%, but the show must go on. And since I wasn't feeling well yesterday, I didn't plan. The plan is to plan on Sundays for the following week, but I did not do that, and I'm about to do that. Um, my working hours are 9 to 1. So during this time, I'm going to take a portion of that, the probably this next 45 minutes to an hour, and I'm just going to actually plan out my week and actually start looking at wrapping up this quarter. So, how I plan with the vision planning system is that I I segment the year into seasons. So we are now going into the spring season. We're coming out of the winter season and we're going into the spring season. Then we're going to go into summer. Then we're going to go into fall. It makes sense, right? So I had a thought earlier about winter, and a woman's life, I believe, will mimic the seasons, like the natural seasons, in many different ways. But I was thinking about winter and how many places in the world are coming out of winter now and entering into spring. And winter is a time where you are just operating on the bare minimum. Like imagine yourself out in nature as a tree. In winter, the leaves fall off. Their trees don't bear fruit in winter. There are no flowers blooming. There's not a lot going on, but the tree is not dead, right? You don't see the outward display, but the tree is not dead. And in winter, it might be even be hard to see what kind of tree it is because it doesn't have any leaves on it, right? And for many of us, our lives feel that way. There's no outward showing of what's actually inside of us, what we're actually made of. And we are operating on the bare minimum. We're just barely alive, right? And that's when you're in this state of survival mode. You're just doing the bare minimum that needs to be done to get by. But as winter ends, that tree now is going to start pulling on more nutrients and more resources in the ground because there's a season coming where more is going to be required from that tree, right? The tree now, it has leaves have to come out. And depending on what type of tree it is, it might even have flowers, it might even have fruit eventually, and that requires more. So, what happens to us is that when we approach the ending of that winter season in ourselves, right, we start to feel this pull for more, that more is required of us. But because we're not trees and we're not auto programmed, we have to adjust. um and this is something that you do intentionally, but it's something that you also allow. There's an element of something that's already built in, and there's also an element of effort that it takes. And if you are not a woman who is in tune with herself, you will focus more on the frustration than you will focus on its purpose. That agitation that you feel, that feeling like life is not lifing and this isn't enough, but I don't know what enough is. Like that uneasy feeling where you're not satisfied with what you used to be satisfied with before. And you don't really know what to do with that. Lean into it. Lean into it. And this is why I talk about the 3 daily appointments: your appointment with God, your appointment with yourself, and then your appointment with others. If you are only focusing on your appointments with others, yes, we have to show up. Yes, we have to do all the things. But if you're only focusing on that aspect of your life, you miss out on the insight and the revelation and the strategy that you need to show up in those appointments, and then also to show up as the next version of you for the next season. So what worked when you were doing the bare minimum is not going to work anymore. What this new season of your life requires is a more, I don't want to say stronger, but a wiser version of you, a more intentional version of you, a more purposeful version of you. And when I say purposeful, I mean acknowledgement of your purpose, because you are already purposeful. You were made with purpose and for purpose, whether you recognize it or not. Now, the thing is, what are you going to do with that? How are you going to use that knowledge of yourself to help those who you were put here to help? Because I believe in the law of first mention in the Bible. The first mention of the woman in the Bible was as a solution. And far too many of us either see ourselves as the problem or only see our problems, to the point that we do not see ourselves as solutions. And so we show up in our relationships, in our jobs, in our businesses as women with problems and not women who are solutions. And you may feel like so many people are pulling on you. Your family is pulling on you. Your coworkers are pulling on you. Your boss is pulling on you. Your clients are pulling on you to be something that you think you're not. And it's not that. Very often, it's that what they see in you, you don't see in yourself. And if you don't see that in yourself, they come off as selfish. They come off as asking for too much. Are they asking for too much, or are you stuck in providing the bare minimum? Sometimes it is the people around us who are calling us to elevate, who are calling us to evolve. And if we refuse to do that, if we choose rather to stay in the comfort and the dysfunction, because you can be comfortable in a state of dysfunction, of an overextended winter season, we will not understand that spring is calling. Spring is calling us to bloom. Spring is calling us to bear fruit. Spring is calling us to show who we are. Remember what I said, a tree in winter, you can't always tell by the bark what kind of tree it is. What kind of tree are you? And I believe that we all, to an extent, are like trees. The fruit that we bear is to feed the people around us. People eat, not literally, but people eat the fruit of our lives. And that's determined by what we allow to be planted in the soil of our lives. So this season that is coming is a season where what has been planted is going to be manifested. And I don't say that in a woo-woo new age kind of way, because it's hard to tell in the winter. It's hard to tell what you're made of. But a season comes when it is inevitable that what you're made of is going to come to the surface. And for some of you, that is so scary because you don't know what you're made of. You don't know what people are going to see when you are called to show up, right? You don't know what people are going to see when you have no choice but to step out of that winter phase. But I want to encourage you that every woman has something good and something beautiful on the inside. And I'm going to ask you to nurture her. And if you're going to follow out this natural cycle of the seasons, as we close out this month, nurture the woman within. So when you nurture the woman within, the blooms will be beautiful. The fruit that you bear in your life will be sweet. But that's only if you take the time to nurture her. And you do that with 3 daily appointments: an appointment with God, an appointment with yourself, and then your appointment with others. You need all of them in order to see the fruit of your life. And that's what fulfillment is. Fulfillment is seeing the fruit of your life, the fruit of your efforts, the fruit of your labor, and the fruit of who you are, who you were created to be. Not who you pretend to be, not who people expect you to be, but who you actually are. Fulfillment will never come from you pretending to be like another woman. That's like an orange tree telling itself, I'm going to have pears. I'm going to grow pears. No, you're not. Fulfillment only comes when we are honest, when we are true, when we are real. It only comes from authenticity. The authority that you are looking to have in certain situations, the confidence that you're looking to have, the way that you want to show up in the world, the consistency that you're looking for, that's only going to come from authenticity. And if you don't do the work to find out who you actually are, you're going to be lying to yourself about the fruit that you're going to bear in your life. I know that someone needed to hear this. There was a point when I needed to hear it because I was trying to be something that I wasn't. I can only be me, and you can only be you. And the fruit that you bear and the blooms that will blossom in your life as a result of you being who you authentically are cannot be compared to what another woman is doing, because it's unique only to you. And that's something I was talking about with my email subscribers in the A-list assignment. Appreciate your attributes, yours. There's a reason why you were made the way that you were made. God thought that you were worth creating, and it's worth your time to discover why. I hope this helps. Blessings on your journey, and I will talk to you soon.